Respected and distinguished members of legal fraternity, intellectuals, learned teachers, esteemed journalists, members of civil society, dear parents, and above all, my young students and friends, my greetings to all of you. Today, I do not wish to speak merely about the examinations and the brutality of the police against the peaceful student protesters. I want to speak that when the youth rise, democracy breathes again. Beyond examinations, a constitutional call to reform, reclaim India's democratic soul. My friends, I do not wish to speak merely about politicization of students' protest. I wish to speak about something much larger, the Constitution of India, the future of our democratic institutions, and the responsibilities that belong to every citizen, especially to the students and youth of this nation. My friends, the recent gathering of thousands of students and young people at Jantar Mantar in New Delhi was not an ordinary protest. It was the voice of the generation seeking fairness, transparency, and accountability. It was an expression of anxiety from young citizens whose future depends on institutions functioning with integrity and public confidence. Every student knows the value of hard work. Every parent knows the sacrifices made for a child's education. For millions of Indian families, an examination is not merely a test, it is a doorway to opportunity, dignity, and better future. Therefore, whenever examinations becomes a matter of public controversy, delay, uncertainty, or loss of confidence, the issue ceases to be merely an administrative. It becomes constitutional because the Constitution of India promises equality of opportunity. It promises fairness. It promises justice. And justice begins when institutions function with credibility. My young friends, the Constitution gives every citizen the freedom to speak, to question, and to assemble peacefully and to protest peacefully. Article 19 guarantees these freedoms. Peaceful protest is not an act of rebellion. It is an expression of a constitutional faith. It is not an anti-national act. When citizens protest peacefully, they are saying, we still believe that democratic institutions can hear us. The government will hear us. We still believe that the government can listen. We still believe that the justice can be done to us. That faith must never be broken. The strength of democracy is not measured by silence of its citizens, my friends. It is measured by its willingness to listen to them. Our freedom struggle itself was built upon peaceful public action. But then that movement transformed dissent into moral force. Baba Sahib Dr. B.R. Ambedkar taught us that constitutional methods are the true path of democratic change. Therefore, whenever young citizens gather peacefully to seek answers, the response of a democratic system or the government should be a dialogue, transparency, and accountability. Democracy does not become weaker when citizens ask questions. Democracy becomes stronger. My friends, the issue before us is much larger than one examination, one institution, or one government. The real issue is this: can a nation progress if its institutions lose confidence, public confidence? Every democracy survives because its institutions command trust. Courts inspire confidence because people believe justice will be done. Universities inspire confidence because people believe knowledge will be free. Election authorities inspire confidence because people believe votes will be respected. Examination systems inspire confidence because people believe the merit will prevail. When institutions lose credibility, uncertainty enters the society. And when uncertainty grows, democracy becomes weaker. That is why Baba Sahib Dr. B.R. Ambedkar repeatedly emphasized the idea of constitutional morality. He said, constitutional morality is not a natural sentiment, it has to be cultivated. These words contain profound wisdom. A constitution alone cannot protect democracy. Laws alone cannot protect democracy. Democracy survives only when institutions remain independent, accountable, and faithful to the constitutional values. For several years, many lawyers, judges, journalists, scholars, teachers, and civil society organizations have expressed concerns regarding the health of the institutions. Questions have been raised about accountability, Questions have been raised about transparency. Questions have been raised about public confidence in institutions. Reasonable people may disagree on many issues. That is natural in democracy. But one principle must unite all of us. Institutions must remain stronger than personalities. Governments are temporary. Political parties change. Leaders come and go. But institutions endure. When the institutions weaken, every citizen eventually feels the consequences. My young friends, there is a simple constitutional truth. If institutions fail, examinations fail. If institutions lose credibility, merit loses credibility. If constitutional values weaken, opportunities becomes uncertain. That is why your struggle should not remain confined only to the examinations. It should become a larger commitment to the fairness, transparency, and constitutional governance. You must ask, how can institutions become more accountable? How can transparency increase? How can public trust be restored? These are not political questions. These are all constitutional questions. So at this moment, I would like to convey one respectable message to the government. Every government in a democracy derives its authority from the constitution and from the confidence of the people. Governments are not weakened by the accountability. They are strengthened by it. Public criticism is not an enemy of democracy. It is one of the democracy's safeguards. When citizens express concerns peacefully, government should listen with openness and respond with transparency. The people do not expect perfection. They expect honesty. They expect responsibility. They expect institutions to work fairly. The greatness of the leadership lies not merely in winning elections, my friends, but in listening to the concerns of the citizens. Likewise, another message to the opposition. My friend, the opposition too has a constitutional duty. It must respect the constitution, and its responsibility is not merely to criticize the governments. It must also offer constructive alternatives. It must defend constitutional values. It must strengthen democratic debate, and it must ensure that public concerns are expressed peacefully, and it must peacefully and responsibly. Democracy functions best when both the government and the opposition recognizes that their first loyalty is not to the political interest but to the constitution and the republic. Then, so also a message to legal fraternity, the judiciary and civil society on this occasion. My learned friends at the bar, ours is not a merely a profession. It is a public trust. The legal profession has always stood as the first line of defense whenever constitutional values have come under strain, whenever liberty is threatened, whenever justice appears uncertain, and whenever constitutional values are questioned. History expects that the lawyers, that is legal fraternity, to stand fearlessly for the constitution. The judiciary remains the sentinel on the qui vive, the vigilant guardian of our constitutional freedoms. The confidence of the people in the judiciary is one of the greatest strengths of our democratic republic. An independent judiciary is not a privilege enjoyed by the judges. It is a protection guaranteed to every citizen. Our highest loyalty is to the Constitution of India. Dr. B.R. Ambedkar reminded us, constitutional morality must guide both those who govern and those who are governed. Whenever institutions becomes weak, civil society must become stronger. Whenever fear spreads, courage must spread faster. Whenever injustice appears, silence should never become our response. History honors those citizens who defended constitutional values when it was difficult to do so. A lesson from the history. History teaches a profound lesson, my friends. Democracies rarely collapse in a single dramatic moment. They weaken gradually. When institutions becomes less accountable, when public debate becomes poorer, when citizens stop asking questions, when fear replaces freedom, and when constitutional morality gives way to blind loyalty. But history also teaches us something equally inspiring. Every democracy possesses the capacity for renewal. Whenever ordinary citizens awaken to their constitutional responsibilities, democracy finds new strength. India's freedom movement itself is a living proof of that truth. Our republic was built by courageous citizens who believed that justice, liberty, equality were worth every sacrifice. My dear young friends, never become prisoners of communal and caste hatred. Never become victims of misinformation. Never surrender your independent thinking. Read the Constitution. read Baba Sahib Dr. B.R. Ambedkar, read Mahatma Gandhi, read Jawaharlal Nehru, read Sardar Vallabhbhai Patel, read Maulana Abdul Kalam Azad, read Bhagat Singh, read Savitri Bai Phule, read Jyotirao Phule, read Swami Vivekananda, read every thinker who enlarged India's moral and intellectual horizons. A strong democracy requires informed citizens. Independent minds are democracy's greatest strength. Therefore, my friends, before I conclude, let us take pledge together. We shall uphold the Constitution of India. We shall respect justice, liberty, equality, and fraternity. We shall reject hatred, communal hatred, and violence. We shall defend peaceful democratic dissent. We shall protect the independence of constitutional institutions. We shall respect the dignity of every citizen, irrespective of religion, caste, language, gender, or region. We shall question fearlessly but act peacefully. We shall place the Constitution above all governments and all political parties and all personalities. This is our constitutional duty. This is our solemn pledge. Thank you, my friends. Jai Bhim, Jai Bharat, Jai Constitution.